sit down and grab your lunch. It's time for the Bolts Brown Bag, the only show where you make the call.
Well, it wasn't always pretty, but the San Diego Chargers do get the win that they needed very badly, defeating the Cleveland Browns 30-27, evening their record at 2-2. Welcome to another edition of Bolts Brown Bag, only at 10news.com. I'm Ben Higgins, and joined this week by my good friend Chris Ello. It's good to have you in the co-host seat this week to talk a little Chargers football, and it really was almost like pulling teeth to get that win yesterday between the injuries and the penalty on the offsides and the second-to-last kick and then the final kick. But if you're a Chargers fan, you're happy they got the win.
Doesn't matter how you get the wins. I mean, in this NFL right now, I mean, anybody can beat anyone. So, you know, you see Cleveland on the schedule, and I think you think of that as kind of a free spot on the bingo board, and it's like a home game, and, you know, you should beat this Cleveland team. But there's no guarantees in the NFL, and I think there's a lot of different ways to look at that game yesterday. And I think on one side you can look at it and say, hey, they overcame a lot of adversity to win that football game. And, you know, that's a sign of a good football team, is a team that, you know, faces adversity, because you always face adversity in any game, and the injuries, et cetera, and they were able to overcome and still win. I guess the other way to look at it is to say, you know, that was the Cleveland Browns, and if it wasn't for some dumb guy jumping off sides, you would have been a coin flip away from overtime there to decide whether or not you beat the Cleveland Browns, and maybe that isn't the greatest sign of all. I mean, you don't see the New England Patriots or something, or you don't get the feeling that the Patriots would have to mess around with a team like Cleveland. So, yeah, you know, are the Chargers a Super Bowl threat yet through 4 weeks? No. But is their season over yet? No. That's the good thing. I mean, they're still hanging in.
Well, as it's very obvious to see, we have moved Bolts Brown Bag inside today. Usually we're out on the patio, but for obvious reasons, all that water falling from the sky mixing with our electronics, not a good idea. So we moved inside first time, and I like it in here. It's comfortable. We may have to make it a regular feature to really get involved with the lunch crowd back there. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, the lunch crowd is ecstatic that we're here talking while they're trying to enjoy a nice, quiet lunch.
But, you know, I think I tend to do this. I like to focus on the negatives after a win because everyone else is out there focusing on the positives. And I try to focus maybe on a negative or two after or a positive or two after a loss because everyone's focusing on the negative. So got a poll question up this week at our 10news.com Bolts Brown Bag page, and it actually focuses a little more on a negative. And I'm asking, what area of concern is the biggest for the Chargers moving forward now for the final 3 quarters of the season? And I put up a few questions, a few answers. The offensive line, certainly the injuries have been a big concern there. The front 7 defensively. The special teams, coaching, and I threw in other if you've got some other questions. Wide receiver injuries are a factor right now. But to me, the 4 choices I put down were my top 4 areas where I thought the Chargers could at least possibly have a concern moving forward this season.
Okay, well, let's see how people answer. I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think you put some good choices up there, and I think that there's some other choices that you could go with. I think I would not be surprised, Ben. I would not be surprised if other doesn't end up winning that category today.
I've already got a ton of responses on Twitter, so just looking here. Marcus says coaching, terrible coaching staff top to bottom. Bolts Chief says going forward, I think special teams will be game changers in some occasions, and I don't think for a good reason. Mr. Derp says stopping the run, so I guess that would be the front 7. Eric says all of the above.
All of the above. You didn't give all of the above.
I didn't.
You should have had A, B, C, D, and then you should have had all of the above. Then you should have had A and C, D and E. Remember, you know how they try to confuse you with stuff like that.
I think you can only have a certain number of choices up there. You're confusing people. Chris just went off the board. He said tackling, which is an issue. If you watch the Chargers game yesterday, there was that one Brandon Flowers was trying to push Isaiah Crowell out the sidelines. It didn't even get him out, and he got another 30 yards down the way. Manti Te'o continues to have tackling issues. Even though he had a career-high 16 tackles, he also missed another, about 10, it seemed like. He probably could have had 25 tackles in that game. So already a big, wide range. Bo tweeted in and said, maybe not the biggest issue, but certainly a big one, concussions. Malcolm Floyd, Brandon Flowers, Ladarius Green. I'll add another one in King Dunlap, who's out concussion-wise.
Unreal.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers have been hit hard, really hard by injuries already again this season. So much so, and I don't know that I can ever remember seeing this before. You've got a 53-man roster, and you can have 46 of those guys actually active. So there's room to have 7 injured players on your sideline. Chargers had 8. Jason Verrett was active yesterday, but he was out as well, just dressed in street clothes. So they couldn't even fill their entire 46-man roster. And then by the end of the game, they had 60% of their starting O-line out. And by the end of the game, they were down to just 4 wide receivers and cornerbacks total. Not each, total. They had 2 wide receivers, Keenan Allen and Dontrell Inman, to finish the game.
Yeah.
And they had 2 cornerbacks to finish the game.
The Chargers might want to consider trading for that Deion Sanders guy because he can play cornerback and wide receiver, and then they could cover one guy.
Well,
with
the
2
Patriots do
positions.
that sometimes too. You know, they throw Julian Edelman out at
They used to
cornerback
put,
as well.
what was it? Ty Branch.
Branch,
out there. I don't know if it's Ty Branch, but I can't remember Branch's first name.
Tyvon Branch.
No, he won the Super Bowl
Deion
MVP.
Branch.
Deion Branch. He won the
Branch.
Super Bowl MVP one year. I don't remember his first name, but Branch used to play some secondary for Bill Belichick. So Mike McCoy might have to get creative, and we know that is not a strength of Mike McCoy's.
All right, certainly the guy who is feeling the most relief at the end of the game yesterday had to be Josh Lambo, the kicker. I mean, not always does life give you a second chance, and rarely does it give you a second chance immediately after you blew the first one. But that's what happened yesterday with the offsides penalty leading to the second game-winning field goal kick. So afterwards, the rookie kicker talked a little bit about getting that second opportunity.
I was just laughing. I'm kind of bummed out, and then I see the flag on the field, and I'm like, all right, sweet, let's do this again. Let's get out of here. So, again, I was just very, very thankful, very grateful for, another great snap and a great hold by my guys, and, fortunate to have that second chance.
It was a bad day for kicking all around in the NFL yesterday, Chris. So I think the fact that Josh came through with his second chance, he could have been lumped in with a lot of other kickers who are probably worried for their jobs or already out of a job today.
Yeah, Jacksonville's young kicker who's actually from San Diego, Jason Myers, kicked at Mater Dei High School down there in Chula Vista. He missed 3 chances to win the game yesterday for Jacksonville, and they ended up losing in overtime, and I felt really bad for Jason. Tampa Bay's kicker, I think, already got cut this morning. Pittsburgh's kicker got cut last week. I mean, the field, they moved the extra points out 33 yards, and guys are missing extra points, but it's messing with their heads on field goals now, too, and you're seeing a lot of missed field goals. Vinatieri's already missed 2 or 3 this year, so it's been a strange year. Now, as far as Lambo's concerned, I'm glad he was laughing, but really I don't really want my kicker laughing when he misses a potential game-winning field goal. That's not the reaction I'm looking for. And frankly, he's very, very lucky because if he misses that and Cleveland goes on to win the game, I mean, you're right. He might be looking for a job. I mean, that's how competitive it is in the NFL. When Nick Novak gets beat out, and now he's signed on elsewhere. But
he actually missed one for Houston
and
yesterday.
He missed one too.
It didn't matter because they got just destroyed.
It didn't matter for them. But my point is there's a lot of great kickers out there that don't have jobs right now. So there's a lot of pressure on these guys to make these kicks. And Lambo is very, very fortunate. But let me ask you, next game, let's say you got Pittsburgh coming up on a Monday night. You got a 45-yarder to win the game. Are you confident that Lambo makes it? Are you saying to yourself, well, hey, the guy's got a lot of guts. He come right back and make it? Or are you saying, wow, he missed a pretty short one last time?
I'd worry more if he just absolutely shanked it. But he kicked a good one. I mean, it just missed outside by a whisker. And part of it was that he may have seen that guy jumping early, Trayvon Williams, offsides coming from one side.
He did seem to force the kick a little wide by rushing in from inside.
So,
all right, so you're going to give him the benefit of the doubt one more time. But if Lambo misses another key kick, it's time to start being worried.
But he did make it, which means the Chargers are 2-2 at the quarter point of the season. It's amazing how quickly the NFL season just seems to pass. I mean, we're just starting it like yesterday.
Hey, when does Tom Brady get to play?
Exactly.
Is this
He's coming
suspension
back.
over yet? No, I ddidn't.
The 3-0 Patriots? Yeah, exactly. They did well without him, didn't they?
Did pretty well,
So, but how have the Chargers done through these first 4 games? 2-2. To me, that was kind of your worst case scenario was 2-2. Not that, you could have lost more. Obviously, you could have gone 1-3 or 0-4. But when I looked at the schedule, I thought, okay, they should go at least 2-2. And if they can steal one of their road games, maybe 3-1. over the first 4 games. They obviously didn't do that.
You know, I knew you were going to ask me about, their record right now, and I was thinking about this and looking at the first 4 games of the season, and I honestly believe that they've won the 2 games that I think we all thought they would win, at home over Detroit and at home over Cleveland. And I think they've lost the 2 that we thought they would lose, which were on the road, Cincinnati and Minnesota. So to me, the Chargers are kind of that 8-8, 9-7. Hey, if you get a couple of breaks, maybe you can sneak in at 10-6 and get into a playoff spot team. They haven't impressed me as a team that is a contender yet for the AFC Championship. But at the same time, as I mentioned earlier, they haven't shot themselves in the foot. And you can – it's like a golf tournament, right, Ben, a 4-round golf tournament. You can lose the tournament on the first day. You can't win the tournament on the first day. The good news for the Chargers is through 4 games, that's the first day. They haven't lost the tournament yet. They're still playing.
Yeah. I mean, you break the season up into quadrants, and you say, hey, if you go 2-2 in 2 of them and 3-1 in 2 of them, you've got a 10-6 season. You're probably going to the playoffs. So 2-2 doesn't kill you. And I will agree with you. I played the game that we used to do on our radio show. Week 1 of the season, I said, all right, let's go through the entire 16 games, win-loss. I had win, loss, loss, win for the Chargers on their way to a 9-7 finish. So they are right where I expected them to really be.
I know we're a little early to ask you this because next Monday night's game, but what did you have?
I have a win for the Steelers.
You had a win for the Steelers.
Because
I'm sure some people probably have that as a loss, but now that's a whole different game without Roethlisberger.
I mean, but it's hard to say who's going to play for the Chargers next week.
Yeah.
I mean, with the injuries that they have, I mean, well, I think the extra day will help, but you're certainly still going to be probably missing 1 or 2 offensive linemen, I would guess. I don't know if you're going to be getting all your receivers back. Malcolm Floyd with a concussion. That's something he had that big neck injury a couple of years ago. Yeah. They're going to certainly be careful with Malcolm Floyd. So it seems clear the Chargers are going to be missing some players. They are getting one very important player back. Today, in fact, is the official end of the suspension for Antonio Gates. 4 games for his performance-enhancing drugs we found out at the beginning of July. Phillip Rivers talked about getting his favorite target of all time back after the game last night.
Is he going to be happy?
Yeah.
We'll be excited to have him back in there. He helps us on the field. He helps in the locker room, and we've certainly missed him. So it'll be a plus. We're acquiring a Hall of Fame free agent here.
Acquiring a Hall of Fame free agent. Is it that simple to say? Because, yes, it's good to get Antonio Gates back, but guess what? You've gotten production from Ladarius Green while he's been gone. You've even gotten some nice plays from John Phillips the last couple of weeks, including a touchdown yesterday. Does that simply all go away when Antonio Gates is back, or can Mike McCoy and Frank Reich figure out a way to get multiple tight ends on the field and useful at the same time? Something that other teams have done, like the Patriots, very effectively, but I've really yet to see from the Chargers over the last few seasons. They've always had Gates, and they've never really had a great second tight end option, at least from a pass-catching standpoint.
They really need to steal something from the Patriots. I mean, go back and look at some film from a couple of years ago when they had, Gronkowski and Hernandez both dominating. And there's no reason that the Chargers can't put Ladarius Green and Antonio Gates on the field at the same time, especially since you're so thin at wide receiver. And you don't have to invent something new here. This is something that, as you said, a lot of teams have had success with. 2 tight ends, but 2 receiving tight ends who can be dominant threats and matchup nightmares, as a defensive coordinators like to say. Oh, man, Gates is a matchup nightmare. Well, he's really going to be a nightmare if you got to have to match up with him and Ladarius Green, because one of those 2 guys you're going to have to cover with a little guy. You know, you might be able to put a big safety on Gates, but you're not going to have another big safety to put on Ladarius Green. So I think Gates coming back really does give the Chargers an opportunity here to do something special. But, I'm worried about it because, like you said, they haven't really shown the ability to do it in the past.
All right, I want to do something fun today. And, of course, you've seen him in the past. We got
Brandon
Brandon
what we're
Chambers
doing
here.
Hasn't been fun?
Well, no, it's fun, but this is a different sort of fun. And Brandon comes on. You can see now where he works. We don't usually get the view of where you work, but right behind there is where Brandon, every day.
And look at all the people coming in for lunch wondering where
they're
he
wondering.
is.
They need to order from you, Brandon. So we're stealing you away. We get your thoughts on the Chargers, but we've talked in the past about you being a wide receiver for the San Diego Nighthawks,
Yes.
right? Yeah, in the past. And we've never seen you actually do this.
Before you show this thing, do any Charger scouts ever watch this thing?
I'm hoping
because
so.
if
I
they
hope so,
do,
too.
I mean, the Chargers are down at receiver right now. They could do a whole lot worse than finding a guy who can make catches
All right,
this.
take a look at this catch that Brandon made last week, and you talk us through it a little bit.
Well, pretty much all
It's
pretty beautiful.
Oh man, let's see that again. We get the replay here. Oh, okay, it's jumped. It's coming back. Oh, he's like scrubbing it back and forward. This is Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, that's the one that the Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. made last season, backwards, one-handed for the touchdown that basically made everyone in the country go insane.
Yes.
And that's the same catch, isn't it, Chris?
Same catch. Odell Beckham Jr., by the way, made another one of those yesterday, but he was out of bounds.
Yes.
And they still showed it on every
They
highlight
still showed it every
like,
time
you were
anyway,
out. It
so-
doesn't count. This counted.
This
that was a
counted.
This
touchdown.
counts as a touchdown. Yes.
Yeah.
That was my second touchdown of the year, by the way. It was just a pretty much just a trips left. Single me to the right side, just throw the ball up and go get it. Make the best
I don't
play out.
see how I don't see how your phone has not rung since you made that catch. Now that we've shown it on the program, I mean somebody's got to give you a phone call. I tell you what, I mean that's an unbelievable play.
Thank you very much. I
That's
really
unbelievable.
appreciate it.
Well,
when you were making that play, did you like know? Oh my gosh, I'm doing something ridiculous here.
Yeah, yes and no, because I guess I'm known for making spectacular catches like that, but to me it just comes natural. I just want the ball more than the defender does, so whatever it takes to get that touchdown.
I just wonder if Odell Beckham Jr. works in the New York Giants cafeteria during the week because he doesn't have the same ability that this guy does to do both things.
Cook and play football on the weekends.
Absolutely,
Right?
Yeah.
absolutely. He's got a palate and he's got the hands.
Yes.
So congratulations on the catch. How did you guys
Thank you.
do this last weekend? Do you have a game?
No, I had a bye week.
Bye week.
We have a game this weekend.
Just
though.
okay. I am now your Twitter agent. So if anyone
right.
GMs out there want to tweet me to see about the availability of Brandon, I will let you know.
All day.
And we'll see if we can arrange.
Why do
something.
I think that they don't need to get in touch with you? I'm pretty sure Brandon will be available.
I just thought I'd add a middleman, an
Okay.
unnecessary middleman.
An
to that.
unnecessary
Ben-
middleman.
Ben claimed it, so it's all Ben. That's
All
all,
right,
Ben.
all right, I'll let you get back to work, and you can wave from us back there.
all right.
But we know,
I'm away from
we
here,
know,
too.
We know you're back there. Thank
All
you,
right,
Brandon.
thank you.
Thanks, Brandon.
All right. Okay, I've got a couple of fun stats for you right now
Okay.
as well, Chris, because I know you like these things. I got two of them for you.
Okay.
First one, I was looking at the AFC West standings. Obviously, the Broncos now 4-0, Chargers and Raiders at 2-2, and the Chiefs at 1-3. But did you know that all four teams in the division have essentially scored the same number of points through the first 4 weeks, between 96 and 100 points, all four teams? So
No.
the offenses have been very similar. It's the defenses that have made the difference. The
Except for the
Broncos-
Chiefs have got their 96 points on, 37 field goals?
Well, the Chiefs actually lead the division. They're the team that scored 100. They've scored more points than
All
anyone
right.
in the AFC West. Chargers
Just
actually
think how
have
many
scored the
they would
fewest.
have if Andy Reid ever decided to go for it on fourth
But
down.
it's the defense that's been the difference. Denver has allowed only 69 points. They've
Yeah.
won all their games. The Raiders have allowed 108 and the Chargers 110. They've split their 4 games. And the Chiefs have allowed 125 points, and thus they're 1-3. Now, they've played a very tough schedule, but the difference is not in the offenses in the division. It's been in the defenses.
That's what worries me about Denver. People have asked me, what do you think about Denver? And they're 4-0, but they, people are saying they haven't really been impressive. They squeaked out the win over Minnesota. They were, you could say, fortunate to beat Kansas City in that Thursday night game. They kind of squeaked out the win over Detroit as well. So Denver's 4-0. But my answer to that is, look how good their defense is right now. I mean, the Denver Broncos defense is one of the best in the NFL right now, and their playmakers are all making plays. And so Peyton Manning is nowhere near what Peyton Manning used to be, but guess what? He doesn't have to
No,
be
it's a
anywhere
defensive
near.
team. All right, I know this is your probably least favorite part of the show. We go to our NFL picks contest.
No, that's my
Chris.
favorite part of the show
You're
because
telling me how much
I
you
want to
hate
see.
it.
I want to see where everybody. I want everybody to see where I am right now, and then when I come back in a month or two, I want you to see. I'll come back.
Well, I'm having a good week, I must say, of being correct.
Yeah, you've been.
I made all my picks correct, my straight-up pick, my versus the spread pick, and for the 4th straight week in a row, I picked my upset winner outright. So all 6 points. I lead with 21. John missed his upset pick barely in overtime, and you lost your upset, but the Jets you had for sure.
Yeah.
But last week, very much on this show, I said that Joe Philbin was not coming back from London as the coach of the Miami Dolphins, and I got that right as well.
No, I don't think you got that right because they probably did let him come back.
They did let him come back.
I can't imagine they made him swim back by himself.
He was
they
fired.
Did fire him
yeah,
today,
first NFL head coaching casualty of the year is Dolphins coach Joe Philbin. So he's
well
out
deserved,
today.
Joe. Well deserved.
So that's where we stand right there. We also have a Brown Bagger of the Game award to give away, as we do each week, for a guy who does some good things behind the scenes in the Chargers game, or at least doesn't get all the attention. And this week I decided to give the Brown Bagger of the Game award to Dontrell Inman, who was one of the 2 healthy wide receivers left at the end of the game. He obviously had the big 68-yard catch and run down to the 1-yard line that helped set up the final touchdown for the Chargers. But that's not why, or at least not the only reason why I gave Dontrell Inman the award. He was also a key blocker on a couple of plays downfield, including Danny Woodhead's 61-yard gain. Love it when I see the wide receivers out on the second or even kind of third level out there throwing a block that turned maybe a 30-yard gain into a 60-yard gain.
It's the only way you can have a long run is if your wide receivers block. People don't realize that. Everybody thinks everything's on the front, the up front 5 guys. Well, they have to create a crease for you. But if your wide receivers don't block downfield, you're not going to get more than 15, 20 yards. So, I think just making it through the game at the wide receiver position was enough to give him the Brown Bag Award.
Yeah, and, Keenan Allen had another good game as well, so he continues to move forward. All right, time now for our 3 questions. Got our web producer, Ferris Tanyos, in here. That was one of your questions last week. Which coach would be the first to be fired?
And you got it right.
I said Joe Philbin.
Yeah.
He wouldn't make it back. Well, they did allow him to fly back, apparently, because he didn't get fired until this morning. But I'm taking the points for that one as well.
No, that was good.
All right, what do we got on the questions this week?
So, first question, which 4-0 team, there's 6 4-0 teams right now, is most impressive?
I can't take a 3-0 team. Because the
Pats?
Patriots are 3-0, and they're the most impressive team. I don't think there's anybody close to them. But if you're looking for a 4-0 team, I would say the Packers.
Aaron Rodgers playing at such a high level right now.
He's just insane, especially at home. He hasn't thrown an interception in about 2 years. And they didn't win big yesterday, but they just cruised. And I like when a team kind of has an off day and they can just cruise to a win anyway. So I'd say the Packers, and the Chargers face them in 2 weeks.
I tend to agree with Packers, but I'm kind of also leaning toward – I can't believe I'm saying this, the Carolina Panthers. Mm-hmm. They've been impressive. Cam Newton is playing solid football. I really think he has advanced his game. There was a point where you thought, Cam Newton's going to be a number 1 pick bust. And he's not. He's turned into a solid quarterback. He's staying on the field, and I think they've got some pieces around him as well. That's a solid
If
team.
Carolina were playing the Packers, though, on a neutral site, the Packers would be favored by like 14 points.
Because here's the teams that the Carolina has beaten. It's not good. It's the Jags, the Texans, the Saints, and the Bucs. So they haven't really played anyone yet.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. But
anyway, I like you're bringing them up. You're throwing a little different angle in there.
What do you think of the Falcons?
I keep thinking they're overrated. I picked against them last week.
The Falcons?
They absolutely obliterated the Texans.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Julio Jones is healthy. That makes a huge difference for that team. They have a new coach.
And he's from Seattle. So he comes, right? He was a defensive coordinator in Seattle for Pete Carroll, Dan Quinn. So
is Matt Ryan a Super Bowl QB? Because a lot of times with these teams that haven't done it yet, you have to
I don't think you can say that he isn't, and I'm going to tell you why. Because he's already been to an NFC Championship game on his home field, and he lost it by a field goal to San Francisco. So if you can get that close to the Super Bowl, which Matt Ryan already has, I think you're a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, and the Falcons have to be reckoned with. Definitely. I mean, Devonta Freeman. where's he come from? Where did he come from, Ben? Where did you?
Devonta Freeman is
a rookie
Coleman, running back out of somewhere.
Would you rather have him now or Melvin Gordon?
Well, because it wouldn't require a first-round pick, and you could have used the first-round pick elsewhere.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This guy was a free agent, and he's running circles around Melvin Gordon right now. Anyway, I like the Falcons.
All right, question number 2.
Question 2. Okay, so this is.
I thought that was all 3 questions right there.
No, that was just the one question.
Okay.
So question 2. Does the NFL need to clarify its rules about what constitutes a catch? I know they kind of try to clarify it in the offseason, but do they need to do it more so? Because we've had a lot of issues. We had that Tyler Eifert catch that was a touchdown, and then it was ruled not a touchdown. He had everything since the Dez Bryant controversy in the playoffs last year.
I almost think they have too much clarification now. on the
Really?
catch rules. It's almost like it's like reading stereo instructions to try to determine what's a catch. Maybe they better off going with the Supreme Court's obscenity standard. I don't know what a catch is. I just know it when I see it, and have the referees make the decision based on, oh, that was definitely a catch.
I
that.
think they need to revamp everything in terms of touchdowns. I mean, did you see the Saints-Cowboys game last night where Randall for Dallas reached the ball with one hand toward the goal line, barely touched the goal line, and then it got slapped out? And to me, that was just, like you said, Ben, if it looks like a fumble and it acts like a fumble, it should be a fumble. But they gave him a touchdown because he broke the plane. Whereas a receiver has to catch the ball, get 2 feet down, make a football move. I mean, Julius Randle didn't even get anything into the end zone except a fingernail, and they gave him a touchdown. So I'm going to answer yes to your question.
And then what about
time to revamp
the empty hand fumbles that have been involved in a couple of Chargers games already and other games? But if there was one rule that I might revamp right away, it's the 46-man rosters on Sundays, or even the 53-man overall roster. I mean, the Chargers can't even fill a team anymore because of so many injuries. They need to start considering adding a couple more players.
They're not going to do that.
Being able to make practice squad guys eligible without, having to release 3 or 4 guys on your team every Sunday.
They're not going to do that because that costs the owners more money, and we all know these owners are struggling to get by in the NFL.
I'm sure that a few owners, like the Chargers owners, are going to say, "Yeah, but losing games because we don't have enough players is also costing us money in the long run."
I don't think so.
All right, last question.
Okay,
I saw this one, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, so this is kind of a fun question. You're a contestant on The Amazing Race, all right? And you have to choose one active NFL player to partner up with.
Right.
You can't pick, I'm saying this for Ben, because I know he was going to take one of these two guys. You can't take J.J. Watt or Peyton Manning.
I actually wasn't going to take either one.
Really?
First of all, #fail, because Amazing Race is not an ABC show. But it's one of my favorites, so I will give you credit for that one. I was not going to take either of those guys, and here was my rationale. I wanted to take someone that I knew I could get along with. I knew their personality, competitive guy. I was going to take Phillip Rivers. I really was all set on partnering with Phillip Rivers. I felt like I could get along with him over the weeks or however long it takes to get through it. And then I realized then we'd be the most hated team on the show, and everyone would be against us because no one likes Phillip Rivers.
He's so competitive. He's competitive.
He's so competitive. He would rub everyone somehow the wrong way on the other teams, and they'd all be conspiring against us to get us out. So then I decided I'm flipping that around. I'm going with someone that everybody roots for. Same difference. I want to go someone that kind of know personality. Danny Woodhead is going to be my partner on The Amazing Race.
I'm taking Ndamukong Suh.
Why?
Does he just step on the other teams?
Because he just doesn't care.
To get him off your Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, first to get him away from the Dolphins because he's messing their team up. I don't know. I didn't really have a great answer for it. He did pop into my mind, though, because he's just big and gigantic, and we could scare the daylights out of everybody. But
and he's a smart guy, too.
You know what? Off the field, he seems like a very sharp guy.
Yeah,
and on the field, he's just a lunatic. So, Ndamukong Suh might not be too bad of a choice.
Yeah, I was thinking intelligence has to play a factor because you don't want to be tripped up by like a puzzle or something.
Yeah.
You got a great athletic guy, but if he's dumb as a brick, you may get tripped up by
I'm
one of those.
sticking with Ndamukong Suh.
How do you feel about, like, Richard Sherman?
He'd be good.
Tenacious.
Yeah.
He annoys me. I mean,
he'd be good on those little offside camera interviews. You know, the
I think he thinks he would be good at those. I don't know. Richard Sherman to me is a self-promoter, which is fine. I mean, it's made him a nice career and got him a lot of money. But I'm more into the team players like Ndamukong Suh, who only cares about his teammates, of course.
All right, Ferris, who would you pick? Sherman?
I think I'd go with Sherman.
Okay.
Sherman. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You'd be the smart team. Ben would be the nice team. I'd be the I don't care, hateful team.
All right. 3 questions with Ferris. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks.
Fun,
I
Ferris.
got an update here on our poll results, and as I expected, we've had a lot of balance between the votes. Coaching leading at 30%, but right behind that, special teams, offensive line, and other. Front 7 came in last, which I actually voted for special teams. I think the Chargers' special teams has been surprisingly, but has been dangerously poor. The return teams can't get the ball out to the 20 when they bring it out of the end zone.
Yeah.
The punt returns can't return a ball at all for the most part. The coverage teams can't stop anyone around the 20-yard line. They're taking it out to the 30, 35 every time, and same with the punt coverage teams. The kicker's fine. You know, the punter's usually pretty good, but
the kicker's not fine.
He's been fine.
The kicker's a question mark for me now after missing that field goal
I'm
yesterday.
worried that special teams is going to cost the Chargers a game coming up here soon.
It almost cost them yesterday's game. I'll tell you, you know what I would vote for. And I didn't bring my a tablet or anything, so I couldn't get my vote in. But I'm going to agree with the majority here, which picked coaching. Now, I feel bad because there's some coaches on this Chargers staff who I absolutely love. And John Pagano's the one guy that I really like. But you and I talk about this all the time. I don't think the Chargers can go anywhere beyond, maybe a 10-6 sneak into the playoff thing until I see Mike McCoy be willing to take a risk. Simple as that. If he's not able to take a risk somewhere along the line, and we've already seen the conservative calling and the conservative stuff throughout this season, if he can't change his ways, I don't think the team can ever accomplish something big.
Well, he did use his timeouts at the end of the first
half
yesterday.
Well, isn't that a nice step forward?
To try to get the ball back, and of course it backfired, and it gave Cleveland
well, it deserves to
just
backfire.
enough time.
You know
to
what?
Go it
deserves to backfire because he didn't do it a couple of weeks ago. You know, you've got to have confidence that your team is going to make your risky chances pay off. And until Mike McCoy doesn't believe, he shows that he doesn't believe in his team. And that's why I think you've got to have some risk-taking. And until I see that on a consistent basis, I can't see the Chargers going somewhere that everyone out there would really love to see them go someday.
This is somewhere where we've always seen eye to eye. To me, in the NFL, there's 32 teams. Some are a little better, some are a little worse. But essentially, they've all got talent. They can all win a few games every season. They can all lose a few. And the only way to differentiate yourself is to be aggressive, make some bold choices, and be willing to risk the big mistake for the big payoff. And if you do that, then maybe everything breaks right, and you can win yourself a championship. You play conservative, you've got decent talent, you're going to get, probably finish 9-7 every year, maybe make the playoffs, maybe not, and probably lose in the first or second round. And I look at the Chargers, I look at the Cincinnati Bengals, at teams that just are like that every year.
The Bengals are a perfect example of that. Now, Mike Tomlin's taking a lot of heat for his decision-making last week in the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game. Guess what? I agreed with every decision he made. He went for it on fourth down in Baltimore territory late in the fourth quarter and in overtime. He didn't punt the ball away. Now, maybe they didn't get the play call that they wanted to, but Mike Tomlin, to me, did the right thing. They lost the game maybe because of that. But in the long run, Mike Tomlin showed his guys, hey, I believe in you guys. I know you can get it done, and that's going to pay off for him in the long run. And who is one of the better coaches in the AFC? Mike Tomlin.
To me, if you're not losing a game on a coaching decision at least once a year, then you're not taking enough risks.
I think that's a fair statement.
Hey, if you take 5 risks, 3 or 4 of them pay off, turn into wins. One of them certainly going to backfire and cause you to lose, but guess what? You're a lot better off than if you had just played it straight and just won, 2 of those games. So,
I agree with you.
All right, usually we take a look ahead at the next opponent. Of course, we'll be back before the game is played next Monday with a pregame edition of Bolt's Brown Bag because it's Monday Night Football against the Steelers. But I just want to get your thoughts. You got Tomlin coming in. You've got Michael Vick, I think, instead of Ben Roethlisberger. He was not wearing, I don't know if you saw on Thursday night, Ben Roethlisberger wasn't like wearing big, heavy braces. He was walking around on the sideline. They called it a 4 to 8 week injury. Could Ben race his way back?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think it's time for all the PETA people to gather at the stadium next Monday night and protest and go crazy and lose their minds over the fact that Michael Vick will be on the field. But really, it's good news for the Chargers. Michael Vick is, even when I watched him play Thursday night against Baltimore, and, he's never been a great passer. He's all right. But the thing that's always been dangerous about Michael Vickers is his speed and his ability to run. He doesn't even have that anymore. So this is a game that really sets up well for the Chargers to win. There's no Troy Polamalu to come in and take a game away from them anymore. He's retired and moved on.
Le'Veon Bell scares me.
Le'Veon Bell scares everybody. He should scare you. But you should be able to stack the box and at least limit him because Michael Vick is no longer the threat that he once was running the ball. So I like the matchup. You're at home for that Monday night, and it's crucial because the following week you're at Green Bay. And you got to believe that one kind of sets up as a loss.
Sure.
So you don't want to lose to Pittsburgh because then you're looking at 2-4.
All right. Well, Chris, I really appreciate you coming by, spending the time indoors here at the 10 News Cafe.
As long as I stay in last place in our pick segment, I'll be more than happy to come by. If I ever take the lead, just don't invite me because I'll gloat the whole half hour.
That'd be fun. Well, we'll look for the picks. I'll tweet them out usually Wednesday or Thursday as soon as we're done making them. And you
I just want it
me.
to be known that I think John and I are both actually doing well on our picks. You are just doing off the charts. I mean, you've only missed like one game the whole year. So to me, it's kudos to what you've done so far.
Thank you.
It's not John and I. We've actually picked okay. You've just been like, unreal.
And on that swell note, I say farewell, and thanks for joining us on another edition of Bolts Brown Bag. We'll see you next Monday to get you ready for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the San Diego Chargers on Monday Night Football.
Tell Brandon to get my lunch ready.